Little bit of a different video. We are sitting 5 days out from my bodybuilding show. Wanted to give a quick update into how prep is going, and followed by a nice little Q&A. As if you've been following along with the YouTube channel, I'm posting more often, sharing a little bit about the journey, but I am a coach, I am a mentor, and I think it's important to share some more concrete X's and O's knowledge to help you along in your journey. With this Q&A, if you're a coach, I want you to make sure to listen all the way through, because I'm going to be giving away some of my best stuff for free here, along with a deal on my education platform and a free lecture that I did. It was a free webinar that I did. I'm going to be giving that away for free later in the video, so make sure you watch all the way through. If you're not already subscribed, please make sure to do so. It helps support me, it helps support the channel, and the goal is to grow this channel as much as I can so that I can help as many people and as many coaches lead a life of fulfillment and success. That is ultimately what I want to do. I want to scale my impact, and this YouTube channel is how I plan to do that. So like I said, we're going to be going into a prep update followed by a nice little Q&A, and we're going to go over some of my shifting beliefs, fat loss supplements, new client onboarding, and how to appropriately manage your time while providing the highest level of service possible. So let's get into it. Progress update at 5 days out. I'm going to have some progress pictures rolling around up here so you can see what I look like. I'm really happy with this look. The pictures that you're seeing are from posing practice with my posing coach, Jason Vittrit, and honestly, after the session, I sat in my car and I looked at those pictures and I was literally brought to tears, because this year has been one of the most challenging of my life, physically, mentally, emotionally. To come back from tearing both of my quads, starting this year of progress in a wheelchair for 6 weeks, to have the best physique I have ever had is something really special. And I don't allow myself to feel proud often because I feel like it makes me complacent, but being proud and being present in those emotions has been something that I'm focusing on very heavily during this prep, and it's made it a lot more enjoyable. It's allowed me to really be present in every moment, be grateful for the opportunity, and I mean, the results speak for themselves. I could not be happier with the way things look, and I'm changing visually daily now. My coach Jaden Lacaria is slowly adding carbs back into the plan, but one of the things that we discussed, a bit more X's and O's, is for me, managing digestion is very important. I typically have a very finicky digestive system, and I tend to have things slow down when I add food back in. And so his plan initially was, hey, we're just going to refeed you over a couple of days, load up hard, and then put you on stage. But instead, because of the digestive issues that we kind of ran into, what we've talked about in past videos, we've opted to take a little bit of a slower approach, slowly trickling carbs in over 5 or 6 days, and then also making sure to prioritize fruit in the diet. Fruit is something that for me really helps my digestion, keeps me regular, and allows me to, again, still get some carbohydrates in, but it's not ideal for like the typical carb up, because fructose doesn't have the same effects on leptin, and leptin is going to be counteractive to cortisol. So we do have to play a little bit of give and take, manage the digestion, but also make sure that we are getting in enough carbs to get the response from the body that we want. Training is already started to be pulled back. My last leg day was Saturday, which was 7 days out. And then the training this week is just mainly upper body pump work. We're slowly dropping cardio. It went from 60 minutes to yesterday was 40, today was 30. Steps came down from 13,500 to 10,000 now. And we're just going to be slowly offloading that fatigue, allowing the body to recover, and seeing the visual changes and adjusting the plan as we go. So really happy with where things are at. Now, let's get into the Q&A. I got a bunch of questions on my Instagram, and I'll be doing this more often, asking for questions on Instagram. So if you're not following me, make sure to do so at Oneid, Pauloneid, and get your questions answered. So the first question I got, very easy one. When you practice posing, what is the mouthpiece for? The mouthpiece is not a mouthpiece. It is a camera clicker. So instead of, using a video and taking screenshots, that will downgrade the resolution of your pictures. So what I do is I use a Bluetooth camera clicker. I hit my pose, bite down on it, it takes the picture, and then I move on. The other option is if you have an Apple Watch, you can use that and it'll give you a 3-second countdown. The problem with that is it's a bit quick. So unless you're very proficient at hitting your poses, it can be a challenge. For me, I find the camera clicker in the mouth works perfect. and it gives my coach the best visuals possible to make an assessment. This was a really interesting question, and I went a few different ways. So in the last year, what are some beliefs that you've changed your mind on? The first thing that came to mind was compartmentalization is a fallacy. So I used to believe that I could be an athlete, a business owner, a partner, a mentor, and all of these things kind of existed in their own silos. That works when you're not doing very much. Okay. So if you don't have a wife, if you don't have a thriving business, if you're not doing multiple things and you can only focus on like one or two things, the silo prospect kind of makes sense. But as you get older, as you have more responsibilities, what you come to realize is that your life is actually an ecosystem of each one of those things feeding into one another. And all of this is centered around your own personal journey. So there is Paul Oneid, the coach. There is Paul Oneid, the mentor. There's Paul Oneid, the athlete. There's Paul Oneid, the husband. There's Paul Oneid, the friend. And all of these things feed into each other. When one is thriving, the rest are thriving. And that is a bit counterintuitive because ultimately, if you put energy into one area, you only have so much water in your cup. And if you're pouring into multiple buckets, that cup will get depleted very quickly if you're looking at this through a fixed mindset. But the reality is when you pour into these cups, that's when that cup refills. So if you're pouring into your relationship, that relationship will fill your cup. If you are pouring into your athletic endeavors, that will fill in your cup so that you can be a better coach, so that you can be a better mentor, so that you can be a better friend. And it wasn't until I realized this that I figured out that each element of life needs to be in alignment for you to be truly successful. And what does that mean? That means that your values need to be clearly identified, your priorities need to be clearly identified, and all of these things that you're doing need to be in alignment with your values and priorities. And when that takes place, you're truly in a position where you will be more fulfilled, and you'll be in a position where you can have the greatest impact on those around you, which ultimately should be your goal. The other thing is, if you look at it through a fixed mindset, you might think, okay, working more means I'll make more progress. But the reality is that working more doesn't mean you'll make more progress. It means that you're working more. Balance is truly unattainable in the short term, but in the long term, like chronically, yes, you can be balanced. Because if you are pouring into all of these cups, all these buckets, right? Personal, professional, interpersonal. These will all feed into your feelings of fulfillment, right? You can't be all in all the time on a single thing. There have to be seasons. And yes, there's going to be emphasis placed on different aspects of your life in different seasons. But unless you're able to shift through those seasons and remain in alignment with your values and priorities, you're in for a bad time. And that's when I see burnout the most in the coaches that I work with. The other thing that I've shifted my mindset on here is that aside from looking at clients as normal clients versus functional health clients. So we have our client who comes to us just looking to get strong, get jacked. And then we have our client who's maybe coming to us with some digestive issues or some hormonal issues. Those two are not different. Okay, they are one and the same. Health will be the main driver of results to a point, but even when that tipping point of performance and health is met, the more foundational health behaviors and the robustness of the system will raise the floor for progress when the trade-off is being made. What does that mean? That means that the more healthy someone is, the better position they will be when they have to make the trade-off between performance and health, because high performance is not healthy. Me, 5 days out from a bodybuilding show, not healthy. But the fact that I improved my gut health over the course of the last 2 years, I developed habits and structures around my eating, my stress management, my supplementation, have allowed me to maintain my gut health even when in the past it would have failed. This is extremely important when dealing with high-level athletes. It's also extremely important when dealing with lifestyle athletes. Every one of our clients is an athlete in some capacity, whether they compete on a field of play or a stage, or whether they compete in daily life. Monitoring things like digestion, sleep quality, mood, cognition, they're not reserved for the highest level of competitors, right? All of these things matter, and they matter because you need to make sure that your clients are as healthy as possible. And this starts with being as specific as we can within the intake process, which is something at Master Athletic Performance that we are revamping completely. This perspective shift has completely revamped the way that we onboard our clients and assess them prior to beginning their journey with us. Because if you want accurate information, you have to ask accurate questions. So one of the questions we used to ask on our intake form was, how would you rate your digestion? That's a very general question, and most people would rate that as good. right? Unless they have some specific digestive issues, they'll probably rate their digestion as good. But what a better questions would be, do you get bloated or gassy after meals? Can you rate your bowel movements on a Bristol chart? What are the frequency of your bowel movements? But when you ask these questions, just be prepared, because once you have the information, ignorance is not an excuse. The reason you have to be so specific is because what's normal for an individual may not be normal. I had an instance recently where in the past, a client was like, yeah, my digestion's good, no issues. And then a few weeks go by and it turns out that she was only pooping 3 times a week. Yeah, that's normal for them because that's what has become the norm. But that's not normal for health and performance. So that's something that needs to be addressed. We need to be asking better questions. Last thing is, I don't think I've changed my mind on this, but it definitely affirmed my point of view that you are capable of so much more than you'll ever believe, but you can't give yourself an out. I am living proof right now that you can do everything in your power and get incredible results. I've always said that consistency isn't perfect, right? Consistency is doing most of the right things most of the time for a really long time. And I still believe that. And I think most people's lives would be drastically changed if they adopted this mindset. But if you truly want to be great, consistency does in fact mean perfect, right? I recovered the way I did from my quad tears in 1 year to the point where my legs look better than they ever have. But I literally checked every box, every single day for over a year. Not a missed meal, didn't miss any supplements, didn't miss any training sessions, everything down to the finest detail of breathing drills, isometrics, step counts. I checked every single box. If I was 1,000 steps short at 9 p.m. when I got home, like you saw the other day in my video, I went out and got my steps. This sort of non-negotiable behavior is what's allowed me to do the things that I needed to do to get the results that I got. It's not special. It's just an unwavering approach to seeking to check every box and not giving myself an excuse. And that affirmed that you can in fact be perfect. And I'm proof that the pride that comes with achieving a goal in this manner is like, it's immeasurable. Like, being moved to tears with the pride that you feel is very, very special. And it's something that will stick with me for the rest of my life. And as I said in the beginning of this video, like I was crying in my car because I realized what I did. And it was 100% worth every bit of discomfort I endured. All right, little less serious question. Would I recommend L-Carnitine for fat loss? I would recommend L-Carnitine as a baseline supplement, period. Cognition, metabolic support, insulin sensitivity, mitochondrial function, cholesterol and lipid metabolism. To me, it's literally a panacea of health benefits, and there's very little trade-offs. I think the only trade-off that you would consider avoiding L-Carnitine is if you were a female with PCOS, because it can upregulate androgen receptor sensitivity. But if you're a man, that could be a great thing. It's actually incredibly effective for fertility. I definitely think that most people, most of the time, should take L-Carnitine. Do I think it'll enhance the effects of a properly structured diet and exercise program for fat loss? Absolutely. Do I think it's going to cause massive weight loss results? Most likely not, right? It's not going to increase your metabolic rate in a substantial manner. It's just really going to make things work a lot more efficiently. Here, you're going to want to opt for injectable versus oral because oral bioavailability is only about 20%. Another supplement question here. Is NAD Plus worth taking? So for those of you who are unfamiliar, NAD Plus is involved in cellular metabolic rate. It can actually increase cellular metabolism and increase the amount of energy your cells produce. I personally think it's a little bit overhyped unless you're in a situation in which you're under chronic stress. Then in that situation, I think it can be incredibly valuable. Like I said, it'll help with cellular metabolism, energy, cognition, but there are so many boxes here to check with nutrition, lifestyle, and recovery before I'd consider it. But if you are checking those boxes and want a bit of a bigger boost, or you're coming back from traveling, maybe you feel like you might be getting sick, it could be an amazing addition. With all that said, there's very little side effects to NAD. The injections can sting a little bit and maybe cause a little bit of irritation or itching. I would say you try it, see how you feel. I'd opt for a time where you feel particularly run down and stressed and see if it helps you mitigate it to some degree, and you'll have your answer. Again, here, injectable would be best. When is the best time to invest in a trainer? That's easy. Immediately. Why waste your time with guesswork, making mistakes? Hire somebody you trust, is educated, has experience, both personally and with clients with similar goals. Make sure they're interested in fostering the same relationship style that you're looking for, and communicate with them as much as possible. You'll save yourself years of missed progress by having someone else's eyes on you that you trust. I'll also say that, make sure that you understand that you're going to get what you pay for 99% of the time. So someone charging $100 a month isn't going to be the move. And also someone pushing marketing and selling high ticket offers probably isn't the move either. If you're looking to hire a coach, when in doubt, get a referral from a friend to a coach that they recommend and trust, or visit www.masterathletic.com, apply for coaching with one of our coaches, and we'd be happy to help you. This one is the freebie of the day, the golden nugget of this entire episode. What is the perfect onboarding example? So about a year ago, I did a webinar. It was over an hour long, detailing every aspect of the client onboarding process. I am happy to send it to anyone who is interested for free. No strings attached. All you have to do is comment below onboarding and I will send it to you free of charge. Or if you're interested in more education like that, you can use the code BEEFCAKE300, BEEFCAKE 300, and get access to every lecture I've ever done, which is almost 200 hours of content, for $49.99, and that's lifetime access. So that's our Coaches Corner University Education Collective, and I'd be more than happy to give that away to provide you that discount just for listening to this episode. All right, last question. This is an interesting one because I hear this a lot, and to me, it's a very simple solution. As someone who is passionate about their craft, how do you fight the inherent urge to over-deliver with clients to the point of being detrimental to your own personal time management? Honestly, just charge what you're worth. Right? If you want to over deliver, and over delivery is something that I don't really like saying, because ultimately you should be delivering the value that you promise to your clients. So it's not over delivery, it's delivery. Charge what you're worth. If you're providing a $500 service a month, charge $500, but you have to be able to communicate that value in the sales process. If you can't sell $500 coaching, then sell $300 coaching. And once you've built up enough evidence, you can start raising your prices. The next is improve the systems that you use for gathering and interpreting information. So whether you use an app, Google Sheets, some other random thing that you might be using, the way in which you take in information and interpret it quickly to provide feedback to your clients is going to be the delineating factor between your time management and your ability to deliver a high level of service. Ultimately, you want to be able to touch your clients, figuratively, not literally, touch your clients as often as possible and create the most positive impact you can. You also have to set clear boundaries on your time and your workload. So only work with the number of clients you can handle, which is fine because you're going to be charging what you're worth. This is also another opportunity to maybe look at your service offerings and develop an offer stack that allows you maybe a low ticket offer, a medium ticket offer, and a high ticket offer, so that you can be a little bit more picky with who you deliver the highest level of services to. Outline that in your service delivery process and your terms of service. That'll also allow you to serve clients in many different ways and potentially grow your business while having, those high ticket clients, a little fewer of them, more of that mid tier, and then maybe a group offering for people who can't afford coaching at the full price, but still want to work with you in some capacity. And if there was another golden nugget here, you need to leverage your intellectual property that you produce in your client work, your check-ins, your Loom videos, education, and create resources that you can reuse in the future. So anytime you do a check-in where you educate a client, pull that transcript. Anytime you create a resource or something for a client, I did this the other day. So one of my clients, we're putting her on a low oxalate diet. So I wrote out a document about low oxalate diets. I then saved that document in our resource drive so that anytime in the future we need to look at low oxalate diets for our clients, I already have a resource for it. Anything that you produce that can be reused in the future is gold. It'll save you time, it'll save you energy, it'll provide a tremendous amount of value for your clients. The other thing that you can do is look at what are the conversations I'm having most often and how can I modify my onboarding process? Remember onboarding from earlier? How can I modify my onboarding process to include more education so that my clients are better equipped and they have more and better information? That about wraps up the Q&A. I hope you enjoyed this different style of episode. If you want me to do more of these in the future, drop your comments below, ask your questions, and I'm more than happy to film these as often as possible. I actually had a lot of fun. I just had to prepare a little bit, and I'm looking forward to connecting with you guys and sharing more knowledge in the future. Again, please make sure to like, share, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, and we'll catch you in the next one.